What's up? Welcome. Here we go. It's Feel Good Friday. That usually means we bring on a special guest, somebody that you've never met before. I've only met her just a couple of times. As a matter of fact, we were at a speaking event. This is maybe 3 or 4 months ago. And I loved what she had to say, and I loved who she's out there to help. So I'm going to waste no time and bringing in Eva. It's so good to see you again. You are in the Bay Area in California. Is that right?
That's right. I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area, a little town called Berkeley. You might have heard of UC Berkeley in your travels if you're any kind of sports fan or anything. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm here for
Yeah.
about
And the
20
Berkeley
years.
and the Berkeley School of Music, right? That's how I
There you
know it.
go.
That's how I know it.
There
I
you go.
titled this episode Advance Your Career Without Sacrificing Your Personal Life. And I really know that this is a theme a lot of people are thinking about right now, especially people who have done the climb. They've gotten to that stage in their career where, they've built a nice little foundation for themselves, but they just are getting to that stage where they're like, okay, look, I know I had to run like hell to get myself here, but now how do I find my pace? How do I find a pace in life where I can sustain this? Because the pace that I have right now doesn't feel sustainable to me. As with every new guest, I think the best thing we could do is to learn a little bit about you, Eva, and just say, like, what's your story? How did you get to this stage in the game where this is what you're helping people do?
Well, how I got here is how I almost lost the people that were very important to me while I was on that grind, on that hustle, hustle, hustle. So, what a lot of people don't realize about me is that I started my career as a dental hygienist. So, I have been a dental hygienist for over 30 years. And back in 2010, I was about to celebrate my 50th birthday. I had a really good job in San Francisco. And my boss called me into her office to tell me that I was being downsized to part-time and that my salary was being reduced. Well, that pretty much knocked me for a loop with a couple of kids in college, a couple of mortgages, you know the deal. And I was the main breadwinner in my family. My husband and I had only been married for about a year at that time, even though we'd been together for a while. And it was kind of the kick in the butt that I needed to see, okay, what's next for me? And so I decided to become an entrepreneur. And I
Let's
started
go.
a real estate investing company. Woo woo. And like a lot of people on their entrepreneurial journey, I did, kind of have my day job still going. I was working again as a hygienist, but just piecing together some part-time work. But I had invested, gosh, probably about $35 to $45,000 in training and coaching to be a successful real estate investor. So I went deep into debt, invested in myself, bet on myself. And so that put me in the mindset that I've got to do whatever it takes to make this business a success. So what happened was I was working full time. I was building the business mornings, evenings, weekends, and still doing all the cooking, all the shopping, all the laundry, all of it. I thought I was Superwoman. And it reminds me of a commercial I grew up with in high school or college. I don't remember. But this woman comes out. You might remember it because you've kind of been around a little long like me. This woman comes out wearing 3 different outfits and she's singing, I can bring home the bacon, fry it up in a pan, and never, never, never let you forget you're a man because I'm a woman. But it's that tagline. Matt, do you remember this? Anjali, the 8-hour perfume for the 24-hour woman. So basically, those advertising messages were planting in a lot of us, whether you're a woman or not. But with this commercial, yes, you're going to work 24 hours a day, but at least you'll smell good for 8 of those hours. You'll work yourself to death.
Yeah,
So
because that's the most important thing. People are like, I'm going crazy, but do I smell good?
do I smell good? Which is why I always put perfume on when I get on a Zoom, right? So my point in sharing that with you is even though I tried to do it all so that I could have it all, I ended up burnt out, stressed out, overwhelmed, and exhausted. And it affected my mood and my health. And my relationship with my husband became impacted to where we were short and snippy with each other, and really I was frustrated with him because I felt like I was doing everything, and that eventually led to a betrayal that nearly cost us our marriage. And I say this saying that, we often say we're working this hard for our spouse, for our kids, for our families. And as we're in that hustle and grind, we're spending very little quality time with the people we claim we're doing this all for. And that was a wake up call for me. It was like smack up upside the head that the habits that I had were contributing to the stress and overwhelm and the breakdown in my marriage. And I knew I had to show up differently, that I was sacrificing what was important to me for success. And that's when I got introduced to high performance habits, Brendan Burchard. And, the fact that my husband and I were able to come out of this better and stronger and still together. One day he just said to me, "You need to do this for other people the way you've helped us." And that's when I really got into coaching high achieving workaholics to have that both and in their lives, and not an either or. It's either I work hard and I grind, or I have the family, right? You can have both ways with the right habits, practices, and principles. So that really, because I lived it and I nearly lost everything I was working so hard for, is why I do what I do today.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. Such an inspiring story. It mirrors so many pieces of my journey.
Mm.
Off script, I want to ask you, one of the things that I do subscribe to is that balance is BS. Like there will never be a time in your life where the scales are even.
When
You're
they are
either,
even, it equals zero, right, Matt? I mean, think of
yeah,
it.
right,
There's
right,
a reason
right,
why you have a big fat zero when the scales are equal on it. And that's what stresses all of us out, right? We're
right.
trying to get it even. Like, no, it's fluid.
Yes.
Sometimes work's going to get more of us. Sometimes personal life's going to get more of us. That's why we have to prioritize.
Yeah. Well, and it's important for people to hear that because look, I mean, you and I are, as you put it so eloquently earlier, have been around the block a time or two. And, when you're in your 20s and you get that degree and you jump into your career, like you go like hell, and that's fine. You should go like hell in your 20s. Like you have all the energy in the world. The world is your oyster. You're just trying to get out there and tear it up. You typically don't have, a family yet. It's just you, or maybe it's just you and a spouse, or you and a partner. And that's a really good time to kind of go like hell, because if you're going to work really hard, you're not going to have a ton of free time. But if you're with somebody else in that journey, it does sort of work. Here's where I know that it gets complicated for people is when you start introducing children into the fold. And I think this is a thing the average American chases, is a family. And doesn't mean that everybody listening and watching has one, but I'm just saying, like, if we're playing the law of averages here, most of my friends have kids. I have like 2 or 3 friends that don't. And for me, at least, when the kids started to come in, that's where the real juggling starts. And now it's like, okay, because you just said it, like, I want to be there for these people. I want to be the father that maybe I'd never had, or the father that I know I can dream to be, or the mom or the mother that I dream I can be. But wow, like trying to keep all these balls in the air is a real challenge. And so here's the question that I'm coming to, which is, you mentioned, like, you've got some practices here. You've got some strategies that you offer people who are juggling all of those things and trying to be all things to all people. Is the first thing that you almost work with people and deal with is the idea that you cannot possibly be all things to all people?
The first thing that I personally work with people on is getting clear on the vision they have for their lives.
I love it. Okay.
What is it that you want your life to look like? Who do you want to be? Are you clear about who you are and what's important to you? And if you are, does that vision match your reality today? So we've got to get clear on what that looks like first. And once you're clear, then you start prioritizing.
So
And
do you have them
so
write that down?
I
Is that
do,
something
I
like, yeah?
do, I
Yeah, like
do.
walk us through
One
the
of the
process right now.
exercises I do with people, which is really fun, is to write down everything that's going on in their life right now. Like, what is the state of the union of your life on that first
Okay.
piece of paper? And your listeners can do this too. So take out 3 blank pieces of paper. Just write down, you know, what's your life like? You know, I get up at this time in the morning, you know, I feel tired, I'm working, do I work out or do I not? Do I not have time for it? Like, what is the state of the union? How are your relationships? Are you, you know, not having enough intimacy with your spouse or partners? Are you running around taking the kids to soccer and all of that? What does this state of the union of your life look like for real? How are you feeling? Are you happy with your job? Are you happy with your salary? What does it look like?
Got it. Love
Then
that. Okay.
on
Second
the
piece of
second
paper.
piece of paper, write down the dream life. What is it that you want your life to be? What time do you want to wake up? You know, do you want to wake up?
Now,
How do
do
you
I
want to
dream
feel?
big?
Huh?
Do
I'm
I
sorry.
dream big here? Do I dream big
No, I'm
here?
talking your perfect average day.
Okay.
Yeah, let's look at your perfect average day. So say for example, you have to get up at 5 a.m. because you have to be at work and you've got to do this, and or you want to work out in the morning and you keep hitting the snooze button because you're tired. You know,
So
what
it's
time
not
would
so
you
much like I want a beautiful man to feed me strawberries as I'm sipping a mimosa by the
No,
beach
what it
in
is I
Tahiti.
want to eat whatever I want and not gain any weight. That's what it is. That's
But I
the
like the idea of the average day
your perfect
because it needs to
average
be
day.
realistic. Yeah,
Yes,
right, right.
yes, yes. So it's your perfect average day. And I remember
Okay.
the day I lived my perfect average day. I was like, oh my God, this is it. I'm living it. And for me, I like slow, lazy mornings and to be able to
Okay.
walk the dog and sip coffee and watch whatever I want to watch on TV and work out at my own pace. But when I was working, it was like I had to catch a train at a certain time. I had to rush out and all of that. So I'm talking your perfect average day. You're like, do you want to get up and at a certain time? You want to go to the gym? You know, before you go to work, you want to make a certain amount of salary. What's your dream job look like? So all of that average day. What time do you want to come home? How do you want your diet to be? Do you want to do intermittent fasting or be vegan or vegetarian? Like, what is the dream life for you? And then on the third piece of paper, Matt, once you get clear of this is how I'd be, you know, really content if my days went like this. Now, of course, nobody's days goes perfect, but just kind of an outline of what you'd like it. Because especially if you've got kids, somebody's going to spill something, somebody's going to get sick, somebody's going to throw up, the dog is going to
Right.
get it, you know, life is going to be lifing, as I say.
Life
But
is going to life, right?
yeah, so in general. But then on that third piece of paper, I want you to write down what you would have to give up
Mm.
to get from what you wrote on the first sheet, to the life you have on the second sheet. And that is often where people really look at it like, I don't have to add more to my life and do one more extra thing, but I have to start taking some things out. And most of it is saying yes to things you don't really want to do, spending time on things you don't really want to do because you're afraid of saying no. You're afraid of prioritizing yourself. You are afraid of what people are going to think about you if you're not at their beck and call. And so, what I say is, if it's important for you to, let's say, work out or go to the gym before you go to work, what are you going to have to give up? And it might mean you have to give up going to bed at midnight and maybe go to bed at 10.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not watching all the Netflix. So, you know, we have to really focus on and what is important to us and then I call it creating boundaries so that we can protect what's important to us. And it's my CPR strategy. Get clear on what you want, prioritize, get clear on your priorities. And then the R is it's your responsibility to create boundaries, set the boundaries, and communicate it to protect your priorities. And most of us are overwhelmed because we're overcommitted.
So you said something that I think is such an important thing for people to hear today. It is not about adding more to your life. It is about subtracting the things that are getting in the way of the life that you want. And that is such a great thing for people to hear, because oftentimes, at least look, it was my feeling. It's like, I can't do one more thing. Like, you should go see this therapist, or you should go talk to this coach. It's like, I can't add any more things to my life. I am already maxed out. But to hear you say, hold on a second, I'm not asking you to add anything to your life. I'm saying, what can we get rid of? What doesn't need to be there anymore because it's in your way? And it's so funny, the timing of this conversation, because before you and I hung out today, I was visiting with a friend of mine who does art therapy. And she was taking me through an exercise, and basically on the piece of paper, I had to write down like the thing that's consuming me right now, the thought that I'm kind of having right now that's consuming me. And then on top of it, I had to write what I'm going to need to do to solve that problem. And what I wrote down on this piece of paper, I'm looking at it right now on my desk, was I need to shed the skin. I need to let go of the old me. And this is something that I'd like you to talk about. So this is kind of how I'm walking you to the question. And I have to trust the new version of me. And identity feels like it's a huge piece to what you do.
Yes. One of the first things when I'm doing the clarity session with my clients is I have my clients pick 3 words. I actually have them close their eyes, kind of
How about
ground
we
into
end
the
with this?
moment.
This is a perfect way to end our podcast.
Yeah.
So let's do this
We can do
exercise
that.
together.
Pick 3 words that describe the best version of you. All right. 3 words that you would be proud to have people describe you as, because it really captures the truest and the best version of you. And think about those words. How do you want to show up? Who do you need to be? And once you have those 3 words, I want you to write them down and then look at each word and write down, why is that word important to you? For you to be that. This is who you want to be. So when I did this exercise, gosh, probably 8, 9 years ago, probably almost 10 years ago now, my words were open, connected, and generous. Now, these words you're growing into. It's not that you're already there. They're aspirational. And the reason why I picked open is because I grew up in a culture that was pretty closed-minded and judgmental, and that's not who I wanted to be.
Okay.
And I find myself kind of falling back into that sometimes. No, I want to be open to possibilities, open to newness. It meant a lot to me. Generous. I grew up with Depression era parents, and I find that sometimes I can be a little penny pincher myself. I wanted to have a more generous outlet, outlook on life. I wanted to not be afraid to invest in myself. I wanted to not be afraid to, get the high quality shampoo or whatever. And then connected was another word. I really wanted to be the person that formed really good connections with people. And it required me, who's kind of a natural introvert, to be just a little bit more open to meeting people and connecting people and sharing more of my story. And that's why this was important to me. Now, when I'm faced with a decision where I'm like, I'm not going to buy that, that's too expensive, I get to ask myself, am I in alignment to my 3 words? Is this who Am I acting like the person I say I want to be? And so we do this for ourselves. I have people do it for their interactions with other people and for their success markers. And as they do this, they really get to be in integrity and in alignment with the person they say they want to be, with how they want to interact with other people, what it takes for them to be successful. If you say you're persistent, that's what made you successful, and that you're at a choice point where you want to give up. But I know when I'm persistent, I've been successful in the past when I didn't give up. And so it really helps people to stay in alignment with the best version of themselves. And that's how we grow. That's the personal development and transformational part of high performance and leadership.
Eva, outstanding. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with us today. I mean, what a great thing. You know, I wrote down 4 words, and after we're done here, I'm going to spend some time with this list and see which one I need to get rid of, right?
And when you do,
Yeah.
do that, Matt, I want you to put, and everybody listening, put your 3 words as a reminder in your phone every day. Let's say 10 o'clock in the morning, because what you focus on grows. And if you get those little pop-ups that this is, I am an open, connected, and generous leader, I know that's who I get to show up as every day. So we don't want to just write it and forget it.
Okay. For those that have heard enough and are like, please get me on the Eva train, I am all in. You can simply scan that QR code in the top left of our screen, or top right, depending on how you're looking at this and what device you're looking at it on. And so I'll encourage you to scan that here before we wrap up. And then I'll remind you, please, like and subscribe this show. As I've mentioned before, we've been doing this podcast for 4 years. We've just now moved it to the YouTube channel and are doing these live every day on YouTube at 12:30. So help us grow this channel. And thank you guys so much for being a part of it. And Eva, so good to spend some time with you again. And I just keep kicking butt out there in the Bay Area and beyond.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Have a great day, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. And we'll see you Monday with Dr. Anna Marie Frank. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.